The Last Lamp of 1825, a 200-year-old educational story. Approximately 1,000 words, perfect for breaking into 10 to 20 shorts. 200 years ago, in the year 1825, there was a quiet village named Willowbrook, tucked between rolling hills and a silver-blue river. The village was small, but it carried a long history. Stories of brave farmers, skilled craftsmen, and families who believed that knowledge was the worthiest treasure. In this village lived a 12-year-old boy named Elias Harper. Elias was known for his curiosity. While other children played near the riverbank, Elias spent his time collecting broken tools, old coins, rusted locks, and anything that looked mysterious. He believed that every abandoned object had a story. One late afternoon, while searching near the oldest banyan tree in Willowbrook, Elias found something unusual buried under the roots. A tiny clay lamp, beautifully carved, but cracked in several places. It looked delicate, almost ready to break, but there was something about it that felt important. The curve of the clay, the faint etchings on its surface, it felt like it carried an ancient whisper. Elias gently brushed off the dirt. Under the dust, an inscription appeared. "Light is not in the flame, but in the hands that share it." He didn't understand the line, but it felt special. Elias ran home to show the lamp to his grandmother, Martha Harper, one of the wisest elders in the village. She had seen more winters than anyone else in Willowbrook, and knew almost every story passed down in the village over generations. The moment Martha saw the lamp, her eyes softened. She whispered, "I never thought I'd see this again." Elias was confused. "Grandma, what is it?" Martha held the lamp as if she were touching a memory. "This lamp," she said, "belonged to Leora Bennett, the village teacher who lived 200 years ago. She was known as the Keeper of Light." Elias had heard the name. Every child in Willowbrook knew Leora Bennett, the teacher who believed that education wasn't just for the privileged, but for all. Even for children who worked in the fields. Even for girls in a time when most people didn't believe girls needed schooling. She carried this lamp every evening as she walked from house to house, teaching children to read and write. When poor families couldn't afford candles, she shared her own light, so learning never had to stop. Elias listened carefully. He had always thought learning happened only in school, with books and benches and chalkboards. But this story showed him education was more than that. It was an act of giving. "One night," Martha said, "a terrible storm struck the village. Houses collapsed, the river overflowed, and people lost their belongings. The children were frightened. Many families planned to leave Willowbrook forever. But Leora lit this lamp and stood in the center of the village. She told them, 'As long as we stand together, no storm can take away our future.'" "And did they stay?" Elias asked. "Yes," Martha nodded. Her courage kept the community together. After the storm, the villagers rebuilt everything, from homes to farms, and they built the first schoolhouse in Willowbrook to honor Leora. Elias looked at the cracked lamp differently now. It wasn't just clay. It was a piece of history, a piece of courage. That night, Elias placed the lamp on a small wooden table near his bed. He lit a small candle beside it, imagining Leora's footsteps echoing through the village 2 centuries ago. He fell asleep wondering what it meant to share light. The next morning, Elias saw something unexpected. The village's small learning hut, where children studied, had collapsed during a heavy wind. Wooden planks lay everywhere, books scattered, benches broken. The teacher, Mrs. Dawn, looked worried. With the hut damaged, lessons would stop for weeks. Elias felt a tug inside his heart. The village children needed help. The light needed to continue. He rushed to find his friends, Milo, Sarah, June, and Oliver. "We can't let learning stop," Elias said fiercely. "Leora wouldn't let it stop." "But what can we do?" Sarah asked. "We're just kids." Elias held up the lamp. This lamp belonged to a woman who taught the whole village when no school existed. If she could teach under trees, in kitchens, by candlelight, why can't we? The children exchanged glances. Elias was right. So they made a plan. They gathered all the old wooden boxes they could find, set them near the banyan tree, and turned them into seats. They placed flat stones as writing boards. They collected leftover chalk from their homes. Mrs. Dawn was surprised when she saw the children preparing everything. Elias walked up to her and said, "We don't need a building to learn. We just need a place and a light." He placed Leora's lamp at the front. The teacher's eyes filled with emotion. "Then let's begin." Over the next days, the banyan tree became Willowbrook's temporary school. Birds chirped above while the children recited lessons. Sunlight filtered through the leaves like gentle reminders of the past. Word spread quickly, and parents began joining too. Some helped repair the learning hut. Others brought water, snacks, or extra books. The whole village came together, just like in Leora's time. One evening, after class, Elias sat alone under the tree. Martha walked over and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You shared the light today," she said softly. Elias looked at the lamp, glowing faintly in the sunset. "What does it really mean to share light?" Martha smiled. "It means using what you have to guide others. It means choosing kindness over comfort. It means helping people grow, even when things are difficult." Elias understood. More than 200 years had passed, but Leora's message still lived on, not in the lamp, but in the people who carried her spirit forward. Weeks later, the learning hut was repaired. The children celebrated, but Elias still kept the old lamp on the teacher's desk. Mrs. Dawn said, "Why keep the broken lamp here?" Elias answered, "Because it reminds us that even if something is cracked, it can still shine." The whole class nodded, and from that day onward, the lamp was known as the Light of Willowbrook, a symbol of courage, a symbol of unity, a symbol of the power of education. 2 centuries later, its message still rings true. When you share knowledge, you share light, and light never dies.